Isolation is an ongoing theme for ACONs, adult children of narcissists. Because as an ACON, you've been conned into believing so many things about yourself that aren't true, and it's due in part to this reason that you may isolate yourself as an adult. And as a professional who works with adult children of narcissistic parents, I find all the time that people are isolating themselves more and more as they get older. They're in their 50s or 60s or 70s, and their world has become more and more narrow. In this video, I'm going to explain to you why you isolate, why it's so difficult not to isolate, and what you can do about it. I'm Dr. Meg Haworth, and I'm a transpersonal psychologist, a holistic nutritional chef, and best-selling author of Get Well Now, Healing Yourself with Food and the Power of the Mind. And I help wounded ACONs, adult children of narcissists, who've been conned into believing so many things about themselves that aren't true, to become healed icons. And what's an icon? Somebody who's independent, confident, original, and naturally you. And I use holistic methods to help you heal mentally, emotionally, physically, and energetically and spiritually. So let's get started. One of the reasons that you may isolate yourself now is that your self-esteem is really low, and you may even believe or think things like, why do people even like me? Why do they even want to hang out with me? That's how low your own self-esteem can be, because you were put down, shamed, blamed, and routinely criticized by your narcissistic parent. So you may grow up to think you're unlovable, you're not good enough, you're a bad person, which is the worst of them all, because a bad person implies that you are full of shame. And because it's a shame-driven disorder, you are taking on the shame of the narcissistic parent while they're shaming you for not being the way that they want you to be. But there's no way you could ever achieve that. So your self-esteem could be so low that you don't like yourself, and you assume that other people won't like you. So why would you reach out? Why would you join groups? Why would you get involved in things? Another reason why you might isolate is you may feel guilty about doing something for you, because you were trained by the narcissistic parent to focus on that parent at all times. And so you don't focus on yourself. You don't even know how to focus on yourself. And most of the time you are going to be a codependent person. You're going to be somebody who does everything for everyone else and doesn't really think about, hey, what do I need? And so you may think you're not even worthy of being treated to a massage, or you might be terrified to join a group, to take a class, or do something that would better yourself and would make yourself feel better, because it actually is really terrifying for you. And you don't understand, why is it so scary for me? And a big reason is this whole isolation thing that happens when you are raised by a narcissistic parent. Another reason why you may isolate as an adult is you don't trust others. And you don't trust others because you weren't trusted. But the truth of that was the narcissistic parent was the one who couldn't be trusted, and they knew it. And so they turned the tables on you all the time, making you think that you were the one who couldn't be trusted. They set you up in all kinds of scenarios and situations that would make you feel like, I have to lie in order to protect myself, in order to keep them from going into a raging fit. And so then they set you up like that, and then they accuse you of being a liar when all you were trying to do was protect yourself. Very complex relationship that is dominated by control and by fear. So you may grow up just not trusting anybody, and you especially don't trust yourself because you were never allowed to really listen to your inner voice, because everything else around you was so loud. You were always listening for what was going to go wrong in the room. And so you didn't have that inner voice developed, although you might have developed it very keenly for what was wrong in the room. And so then you may pick up on all kinds of negative energies and negative emotions and all of that, because you were basically trained to do that by your narcissistic parent. Another reason why you might be isolating as an adult is that you're afraid to do something wrong. So you're just afraid to do anything. So you may be sitting in freeze mode much of the time. You might be like reading books and staying at home and watching TV and doing all kinds of things that keep your world very, very narrow and very, very isolated because you're afraid to step out, because you're afraid that people are going to see what this narcissistic parent saw in you. You're afraid, again, that people won't like you. And so you tend to stay alone and on your own. And you also might be really afraid that other people are going to see how wounded you are. So you don't really trust yourself to be in situations where you're meeting new people and you're afraid of how they're going to view you because you were criticized all the time. So there's this part of you that begins to assume that everybody lives in that world, that they live in that world of judgment and criticism, when it's not the case at all in most cases. Another reason, and this is kind of encompassing of all of the things I've talked about so far, that you may isolate yourself a lot as an adult child of a narcissist, is your anxiety levels are so high that moving forward and doing something for yourself is terrifying. Meeting new people is terrifying. Doing something new is terrifying. Stepping out of your discomfort zone, because you never really found a comfort zone. You're always uncomfortable. And when you step out of that and trying to create a new zone for yourself, it's very difficult because that anxiety gets pushed upon and then you feel worse than you already did. Another big reason why you might be isolating as an adult is you're really afraid of rejection. You're afraid of picking up the phone and asking a friend to go out to dinner because you're afraid they're going to tell you no, they can't. And even though they'll tell you no, they can't, and they may tell you like, hey, I've already got some plans or something else is going on. And you may even think, well, I wonder if they just don't even want to see me, if they're making up an excuse, because you were lied to so much that there's still a part of you that believes that most people lie. This might be part of your perception. You might not have that in your perception, but, being lied to and gaslit and having the tables turned on you constantly by a narcissistic parent is incredibly confusing. And so you may be confused about whether or not a person really wants to spend time with you. And so when they say, no, I can't do it, or hey, let's plan another time or whatever, you'll feel that feeling of rejection, like you weren't good enough. And even though logically that people have plans and people have other things that they need to do, it's something you may really need to work on in order to get yourself to a place where you can really get out there and trust yourself and trust others and have a more wonderful life, a life that's being really lived out there in the world. And the main reason really why you isolate as an adult was because you were programmed to do this. You were programmed to stay away from other people. You were programmed to stay silent. So don't talk about anything that's going on behind closed doors. No one's going to believe you anyway, because that narcissistic parent has been very busy charming other people and making them think that, oh, they're so generous and they're so nice and they do all these great things for the community. They're a pillar of the community. When behind closed doors, it is a whole different story that the people closest in get to witness. And that is something that is very, very difficult. So when you're afraid and you think you're never going to get it right because you've been, again, programmed to believe all these things, then it might be really hard for you to step out. What might be a natural thing for somebody who didn't go through narcissistic abuse to do, just to reach out to friends or make a plan or go out and do something, it may not come naturally to you at all. So you might have to really work at this. So if this information is really resonating with you, I'd love it if you'd go ahead and just like this video. Maybe put a comment down below on something that stood out for you. Also, something you might add to this video, something that you may have gone through that could be helpful to others. And let's get a conversation going about this particular topic, about isolation and what it's been like for you in isolating yourself, and what you did to maybe undo this pattern so that you could heal. As I promised, I want to talk to you about things that you can do to help you move out of your isolation mode. Now, I'm going to first recommend therapy. It's really, really important to get therapy when you went through being raised by a narcissistic parent, because there are so many layers and levels of wounding that went on for you. Your self-esteem, your identity, your self-expression, your sense of self, your self-trust, and the physical body, all of these things can be wounded because it doesn't just wound your mental health, it wounds your entire physical being, your entire holistic being. So it's very important to seek help, and to seek help that's really resonant with you. And there's so many things out there that can really help you with recovering from this. So if you feel like this is something that is somewhat a problem or didn't used to be a problem and now it's ongoing, or it's coming back as you get older, this might be something where you need to just push yourself a little bit. Put it in your calendar. I'm going to call so-and-so on this date, and then, set up a time to go see a friend, or go out and take a pottery class, or go to a play or something where you're out in the world and you're not isolating yourself. Even if you go alone to the play, or if you go alone to the movie theater, or go alone to have dinner, that's fine. You're getting out there, you're talking to people, and you may end up talking to the person next to you if it feels right. So I just start thinking of things that you can do that can help you step outside of that discomfort zone into something that's actually really going to be comfortable for you, something that you might really love doing, going to the beach and going for a walk, going out and hiking in the woods, just something, where you can even invite a friend, you can join a meetup group and meet some new people that are all interested in the same thing that you're interested in. There's so many options available to you to help you with your healing. So what I can do to help you is you can book a free call with me, and we can talk about my Iconic Me coaching program that can help you heal mentally, emotionally, physically, and energetically and spiritually. And we can also talk about my online course, Healing the 5 Primary Wounds of Parental Narcissistic Abuse, which you can just order. It's in the links below, and then you can start doing the course right away, where you can learn some energy exercises to help you release some of those dynamics that occur between you and your narcissistic family members, because chances are you've got more than just a parent. You may also have a sibling, you may have a mate, you may have a cousin, an uncle, somebody who's narcissistic in your family who you may need to learn how to work with. But the first thing you're going to need to do is do healing for you. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it's really helped you to think about, why is it that I isolate, and what can I do to step outside of this isolationist tendency that was created by my narcissistic parent. So you don't want to continue giving that energy to this narcissistic parent. So take your energy back for yourself and create a new way of working with this isolation, and let yourself out in the world. Give yourself permission to go out there and do fun things, and just do it one step at a time. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Dr. Meg Haworth, and I hope this information will help you get well now.